Well, go ahead. The trans dilemma. What's this? This one's actually pretty easy to figure out. So, we've all seen these things, I'm sure, popping up on our Facebook news feed and our YouTube and all that kind of stuff, where it's a bunch of stuff from trans people wanting to peer pressure men into having sex with them by calling them homophobic if you won't have sex with them. If a man transitioned to become a woman or identifies as a woman, does that mean that you are required to have sex with them? No, it doesn't. You know, a lot of the women that I know that complain, they complain about how, well, sometimes they only have sex with a guy because he just won't stop bugging her about having sex. And how there's many women who think that that's rape. Well, nobody is required to have sex with you. It's the same thing I got to say to there's a group of very large women that seem to think that men owe it to them, even in some cases, to leave their wives and children to give them a chance because they're fat. That's really what it comes down to, is that they feel like they're owed a date with the guy who's good looking, has the money, has everything that a girl could ask for. And it's horrible. I do see a lot of fat guys with women. Most of them have money, or they got into a relationship and then ended up getting fat. What's this got to do with the trans dilemma? Not all trans people are being stupid right now. Not all of them. Not all heteros are being stupid right now. But there's all these videos popping up from trans people saying that if a man won't have sex with a trans woman, then that means that he's a homophobe. That he owes it to a trans woman. Someone who used to be a man and transitioned to be a woman. Feels that a man owes it. Owes sex, owes a date, owes whatever. I didn't owe it to Natalie Bollinger to go to Virginia. I didn't owe that to her. I did that because I cared about her and her well-being and her wishes. I cared about her sobriety and her safety. I cared whether or not she committed suicide. We were two very broken people for the very same reason. Our loved ones had completely failed us. Mine more so than hers. I've had a lot of trans people and a lot of gay people try to pressure me into having sex with them. You know, if a woman says that that's wrong to do that to her, just because you trans doesn't mean that you magically became a woman. And that it's okay to treat us like we're bad people if we won't have sex with you. I won't have sex with anybody. I'm not interested in sex. Does that make sense? Here's an argument I heard from gay people nearly my entire life. I tried to make myself straight. You are who you are. You love who you love. You're attracted to who you're attracted to. Sometimes they're attracted back, and sometimes they ain't. Here's the thing. If you're not into men, you're not into men. Doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. If you're not attracted to men, you're not attracted to men. And you shouldn't be peer pressured into being attracted to men. The same thing goes with women. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. If you're not attracted to a woman, you're not attracted to her. You're not required to be attracted to her and not required to date her. There's a lot of gay people that I know that feel that they are owed a lot of things because they had the strength to come out of the closet. You know what? Being gay isn't even close to being as harmful or scary as it used to be. Not only that, but nearly every guy that I know has been abused for being gay at some point in his life. That doesn't mean you're gay, it means that people are abusive. If a gay person can't make themselves straight, and a gay person doesn't feel that they should be expected to be straight, the same should go equally for those of us who are not interested. The same should go equally for people who are heterosexual. Just because they're not attracted to who you want them to be attracted to doesn't mean that they're bad people. Doesn't mean that they're inherently violent or evil. Did you know that lesbian relationships, that's right, between two women, are bar none the most violent relationships in America? And why is that? It's because we teach girls starting a very young age that it's okay for them to hit a boy once, and he's not allowed to hit you back. Well, if she happens to not be attracted to boys, she might carry that into a relationship with girls. And when you've got two girls that are taught that, but boys are taught it's never okay to hit a girl, girls get into relationships with boys and hit them a lot, get angry, and repeatedly, over and over again, hit a man, and he's not allowed to turn it in. He'll be made fun of for being hit by a girl. He'll get made fun of for being a cop caller. Oh yeah, and he might end up being the one that gets arrested, which is a very likelihood, especially here in the United States of America. With the trans dilemma, same as with the fat woman dilemma. Somebody's not attracted to you, they're not attracted to you. They don't owe it to you to drop their entire life off to make you happy. They don't owe it to you to leave their wife and kids to make you happy. That is you being completely flippin' delusional. You type about how he's got the perfect wife, how sweet she is, and how kind she is, and how sweet he is, and how kind he is. Now, how sweet and kind are you, wanting to break that up? That woman typed about how she kept on asking him out over and over again, not taking no for an answer. And then she wanted to take to the internet and complain that he wouldn't date her. Did I ever complain that Natalie didn't date me? No. Never asked her out on a date. That's not why I was there. I was there because she was fucking suicidal, dummies. But then, of course, we get a lot of hate groups that are created by people who believe they're owed. There's a lot of black folks that'll get on with a lot of hatred towards white people. And any white person that they can get on and troll and be mean to, it's fine. Same thing with the LGBT community. Same with a lot of man-hating women. Anybody that's an easy target. And that's what we're dealing with here. I get that I'm an easy target. You ignore my intelligence when you want to pretend that I'm a paranoid schizophrenic who's freaking out over nothing, and want to pretend that nothing was ever on the news and there was never any slander and there's no Natalie Bollinger groups and there's nobody who would ever in a million years ever threaten to kill me or my friends or my family. You guys want to twist things that I say into exactly the opposite of what they are. Usually when I see somebody doing that, I usually recognize when it's a Christian because they're well practiced at it. I've fought hard for equality, but nobody fights for equality for us. Nobody fights for equality for men. Nobody fights for equality for disabled people out on the streets. You certainly don't fight for equality for the homeless. Nope, we're go-to scapegoats. Don't get me wrong, there is racism, and there are black people who are victimized for the color of their skin by police officers. But it is more likely, far more likely, that the victims of police are going to be the homeless because, well, they don't have any fucking money. They don't have a substantial cash account that they can hire a real lawyer with. So they're stuck with a public pretender who won't do shit. Wants to complain at you because they have an overwhelming caseload. So they just don't do their job. Every time they show up and they're supposed to do their job, most of the time they don't show up. And on the few occasions that they do, they're trying to talk you out of them having to do their job. Procrastinating until the discovery period is over. What they've done at that point is created a scenario whereby it is your predator's word versus yours instead of all of the evidence being seen. Meanwhile, they take advantage of people who are in at-risk situations by harming them repeatedly in the jails and in the prisons. I was in prison without a conviction, and I wasn't even charged with felonies. They couldn't charge me with felonies. Do you know why? Because more people get involved when it's a felony. The evidence that was stolen from me by Scott DaCosta, because he felt entitled. His position allowed him to do it. Many women in the United States, because this is what we've taught them, are entitled to abuse men. Now, when a couple of women get together, and each one of them has been taught that it's okay to hit their spouse, it's okay for them because they're women. Well, they're both women. So they're not taught that they have to hold back the way that men are. We're not allowed to show any emotion, or you bully us for showing emotion. We're not allowed to cry, or you call us pussies. You treat us like we're weak. You tell us it's okay to show emotions, and then you victimize us if we do. Meanwhile, we've got trans men that want to get on and tell us that we all owe them to be attracted to them. Hey, you know what? If there's somebody that you are not attracted to that tells you that you have to date them for whatever reason, you don't. You don't have to. You are a human being, not a slave. Actually, technically, we're all slaves. But we can get into the politics and philosophy behind that at a later date. Right now, we have to work on facts and getting those released to the public. I also got to go down to a store down there, and I got to ask if one of the items that was stolen was a firearm. I also got to go through a bunch of evidence, and I got to take my computer inside. A lot of my evidence I'm not going to be able to take in there. I'll be going in and out with the book cart all day. They close at 6. It is 11:07. So I have like 7 hours to try to get this done. That's provided nobody else comes in. That's provided they don't get full. You guys don't stop to realize how harmful and how painful this is. How difficult it is for me to be able to do this. How much money I end up spending on people who don't show up, who don't take it seriously. And they show they're not going to take it seriously. By doing what? By procrastinating and blowing me off. When they don't keep their word, they don't stop to realize how much it costs me. And they don't care. Or they don't help turn in these bad officers. It makes it bad for every one of us. You know what? If you want to pressure somebody into dating you, you are a predator. Ask them out. If they say no, that's the end of the fucking story. Go away. I asked Jessica Martindale out once. It's now Jessica Barr because she married one of my predators, former Denver officer William Barr. I asked her out once. Why is it that I only asked her out once? Because I understand that no means no. How many women have retaliated against me for not having sex with them? I mean, it feels bad enough to be turned down by somebody, right? What about if he's just a filthy, nasty, and ugly hobo, and he's the one that turns you down? Yeah, sure, maybe you might not have had any interest in him, except that you're drunk. But you're going to remember that he turned you down in the morning, aren't you? I've had a lot of women who have done some pretty evil things to me. Mean-hearted and cruel. Jamie Curtis is one of them. Lan Engeline is one of them. Crystal Beauchamp is one of them. I suppose Natalie and Alicia Bollinger both belong on that list too. Anyway, I don't owe it to anyone to have sex with them. Anyone at all. Just because you want it doesn't mean that I owe it to you.
Right now I'm having sympathy meetings. Thank you.
Now, obviously, this is not about all fat women. It's not about all trans people. It's about people who are entitled, who think that they are somehow, for some reason, more important than everyone else, that they matter more than everyone else. A lot of people let me know when they promised that they were going to help me. They let me know that people were threatening them and their kids, and there's a lot of that. Oh, come on. Had to take my computer about an hour to get all started up, so. I guess I'll turn it on. No matter what, I get bullied. No matter what, I'm sent to exactly the wrong people for help. Mandated reporters are sending me to people who are drug addicts. Now, those drug addicts, if they could sober up, listen to understand instead of talking about themselves, different story. But that's not how addicts are. We've all got somebody in our family who's either addicted to meth, addicted to heroin, or an alcoholic. For those of you who are wanting to bully us, by us, I mean humans that are different than you, and then you want to play victim when you're bullied back. Keep in mind, turnabout is fair play. If it's okay for you to do it to me, it's okay for me to do it back. So don't do it to begin with. Don't show me disrespect, or I will show you disrespect and you won't like it. No, that's not a threat. That's absolutely the way that humans work. Y'all want to tell me what to do over and over and over again. Like if you telling me to move is magically going to give me the resources to be able to do so. Like you telling me to move is going to get me the money to move somewhere else. Like you telling me to go to the library and do all of this gives me the ability to have a room for a full day and carry all of my stuff in here and not have any problems with it. You want me to pretend that my disabilities don't exist to do things that I'm incapable of doing. I'm incapable of doing them. How about instead of arguing with me, you bother to find out something about me instead of talking about you and everything that everybody owes you. Because I absolutely know what you owe me. It's called humanity. Alright, I gotta go out to my car and head down to the sporting goods and ask them if one of the things taken was a Smith & Wesson 40 cal with a gunmetal top slide and a black frame. There's a lot of people that are part of the LGBT community that were friends of mine for years and years. They were sort of friends, I guess, is the way I should put it. Sure, they were nice to me, but if I had an issue and I needed help, they were going to help me. They were going to tell me what to do, what to think, and what to feel, and then tell me about how much worse they have it than I have it because they're gay. No. Or how much worse they have it than I do because they're a lesbian. No. Not sure if you noticed, but most people don't take their sex lives to work. It's considered inappropriate to take your sex life to work. But now, we're in a society where we are forced to listen to other people talk about their sex lives at work and then pretend like they're being discriminated against when they're told that that's not appropriate. Oh my God, you're discriminating against me. I'm gonna use my nerdiest voice. There's a lot of women whose rights I fight for, a lot of men whose rights I fight for, regardless of their sexual orientation, unless you're attracted to children or animals. That's disgusting. No other way to put it. Well, my computer is starting to do its thing. I ought to be finished with this in about half an hour to 40 minutes. I think that gives me time to go down and ask the folks at the store down there. And then when I come back, I'll try to get a car. Bring up some of my paper evidence. People don't understand when they procrastinate and blow me off, and they want to make it just about them, and literally everybody blows me off. If you're gonna tell me you're gonna do something, keep your word.
Kayaknya betul, tapi bisa Okay. I need to send it an email to that email.
you sex. Nobody owes you a date. Nobody. Trying to peer pressure people into such a thing is not just rude and inconsiderate. It's immoral and wrong. Women, believe it or not, are far more susceptible to being bullied into dating someone or pressured into dating someone. But it's not usually the person who's hitting on them that pressures them into it. See, most of the girls that I know that ended up with some really, really bad men, you know why they ended up with those men? It's because their mom told them that they would have beautiful kids together. And that's a terrible reason for getting together with someone who's incompatible. Now you get to look on Facebook and YouTube. You can see the demographics live for yourself. How much emphasis do we put on feminine beauty? How much we have to like the pictures and type, oh, you're so gorgeous, you're so pretty, you're so beautiful. Do we do that with men? I mean, look at the men's Facebooks. Is it a bunch of, you're so handsome, you're so good looking? No, not usually. There's usually more substance to it. Now, one thing that I know is that I've had many a conversation with many women, and most of the women that I know, and most of the ones who I have actively hung out with, are not like that. They're not getting onto that Facebook and just trying to talk about pretty stuff. They've got actual problems, and they've also got legit solutions. One of the things that men are not allowed to do, we're not allowed to work together, but women are. It's just unfortunate that a lot of the good women I know, well, nice women that I know, and a lot of the nice men that I know, spend so much time helping out people who don't care about them, will not reciprocate the favor. Bonjour. Not working at the library today?
No, I'll be there on Saturday though.
All right. You meet all types. I don't think I'm going to be able to walk out the stiffness in my legs today, no matter how hard I try. So I think I'm going to go back and sit in my car and drive to where I need to. I know my videos get long, but I don't really have a person to talk to who's actually going to listen or to understand the gravity of the situation. It just turns into an argument. I spend so much time trying to point out to people that they're interrupting me and why it's important not to interrupt me. And what do? A constant bombardment of interrupting me, or they listen intently, or I believe that they're listening intently. And then they start up with the suggestions that show they didn't hear a word I said. It's frustrating. You know, for a lot of those fat women making those posts, and a lot of those trans folks making those posts, you know what? There's a lot of us out here who understand being lonely and alone. A lot of us have fought for your groups, for your rights. Because our groups don't get treated any better. Well, now our groups get treated worse. There are a lot of autistic people being pressured to do things that they shouldn't have to. But also, we're taught differently than you. Well, you're taught that there's a lot of people who will fight for your rights, myself included. We've been taught that no matter whose rights we fight for or how hard we fight, nobody's going to fight for us. I don't know how many times I went to Pride Fest because my friends asked me to show up and support. I can do that. Oh God. All right, I better get to my car so I can still stand up when I get down there to the sporting goods place. Them youngins left pretty early last night. I'm used to them being out longer with that parking lot. We got a lot of older people wanting to blame everything on young folks, and a lot of young folks wanting to blame everything on old folks. And really, it's all of our fault. See, we've gotten an air of superiority about us now, where every American thinks he's better than everybody else, or she's better than everybody else, or them, they are better than everyone else, or more deserving. You know, if you're a black woman who thinks that a guy is totally dreamy, but it turns out he's in the KKK, and you want to date him, well, he might kill you for trying. When it comes to abuse by women, they're more likely to try to convince other people to do it for them by playing victim. Gaslighting the hell out of a male who can't take care of himself and can't defend himself. Gaslighting him, separating him from his friends and family. This is exactly what abusive men do to their wives. It's about power and control. You look at what an abusive husband does when you tell on him. And then you look at what abusive police officers do when you tell on them. What's the difference between your abusive husband and an abusive police officer? An abusive police officer has a lot of help. He's got access to a lot of resources, and his friends in the department are not going to do a goddamn thing when he breaks the law, because, you know what? Sometimes he breaks the law for them. When you're disabled, you have to have somebody go in with you. And this may sound wrong, but that's especially true if the disabled person is intelligent. Because they'll use our intelligence to pretend we're not disabled, and then they'll use our disabilities to pretend we're not intelligent. They'll charge us with false crimes, false accusations, and nobody's going to fucking care because of the term mentally ill. And every one of these people who told me they were going to help me and then wanted to tell me that they couldn't do anything, well, they all absolutely could. Still, to this day. The difference is, today they have a lot of things to be shameful for. Because if they were actual friends, they would have come forward at the very beginning. Joanna Taylor Smith would have shut the fuck up and listened to me instead of telling me what to do, what to think, and what to feel. Who the fuck is she to be telling me to take Vicodin? Who the fuck is she to be saying that she's gonna hurt Natalie and Alicia and Maddie if I end my own life over her abuse? That's right. Joanna Taylor Smith's abuse. See, the assaults aren't the worst part. The worst part is that the abuse continues no matter where I go. The financial abuse, the physical abuse. It's ever present and looming over us out here. I don't have the luxury of having a bunch of meth addicts as friends that I do meth with that'll help me out if there's a problem, because I might get them some meth, or I might share some meth, or I might, well, you all know about addicts. Maybe their drug of choice isn't meth, maybe it's alcohol, maybe it's beer, maybe it's wine. Maybe it's good old Captain Morgan. The thing is, your entitlements and assumptions are as far from the truth as they can possibly get. They are so far from reality. We've got a lot of guys right now who are claiming to be trans, claiming to be gay, just because they don't want to deal with the abuse that you have to deal with if people assume that you're a heterosexual male. The assumption that you're a predator and must be, and thus it is okay to harm you. That it's okay to slander your name and have other people harm you, because even if you're not a rapist, well, you might be. Well, I spoke up about people actually harming me. The people who were actually harming me just kept on gaslighting me. While my friends and family wanted to ignore me. Before Natalie died, it's pretty obvious to anyone willing to look how hard I tried to get help. How hard I tried to get somebody to listen to the abuse that I was going through. You want to pretend that's stalking? No, it's absolutely not. What Natalie Bollinger and Maddie Boa and Alicia Bollinger did is stalking. What Tim Beeson did is stalking. And a whole lot of gaslighting, and the police helped. And my friends helped by being complacent. Well, Joanna Taylor Smith wanted to type things at me that let me know that she was willing to do harm to others. I just wanted my life to stop. I just wanted to not be here anymore, because no matter what, my friends were not going to listen to what was going on. They were going to be too busy telling me what to do, what to think, and what to feel. Even if I pay them to help, they're just going to talk over me. Or they'll try to put on a decent half-ass show when they know that it's being recorded. But then it becomes playtime immediately thereafter. When it comes to people with disabilities, you need to help to understand their disabilities instead of exploiting them. Without a friend or family to step in and say, hey, this is wrong, to someone other than just me, I have to take this abuse until the day that I die. But then I got to hear about trivial stuff. Like some guy thinks that God made a mistake and gave him the wrong parts, so he wants to be a woman and wants all of us to pay for it. What the fuck am I going to pay for it with? I have real problems that are not related to having genitalia. I mean, sure, they're related to having genitalia, the assumption of guilt because I have a penis. But my real problems, much like your real problems, just because you don't care doesn't mean it's not true. You may be as depressed as you want to be that you were born as a man and you still have a penis and you feel that everybody owes it to you to buy you a vagina. You know, between buying you a vagina and that money going to help stop victims of abuse, systemic abuse, domestic abuse, or even curing cancer. That's no offense against your genitalia, but that's cosmetic. Falls under the same category of breast augmentation, liposuction, Botox, mascara, and of course those Catholic schoolgirl uniforms, right? I don't owe you what you think I owe you. I fought hard for equality, to get you equality. The majority of the people that I know in the LGBT community are not like you. The majority of the fat women that I know are not like those fat women that I'm speaking of. But it's those people that make the entire community bad. If that community believes that it's okay, believes that that kind of bullying is acceptable, how many women will make excuses for a woman committing crimes? Oh, well, you know, actually, I know better than you do. Why is it that women who transition to become men are the most likely people to commit suicide in this country? It's because as soon as they look like a man, they start getting treated differently. The holding the door open for you is no longer there. The people offering to do services for you is no longer there. A lot of women have the habit of saying they did it all themselves. And then once they transition to become men, they realize they didn't do shit themselves. A lot of women who transition to become men become men's rights advocates. Women who transition to become men have a tough scale ahead of them. See, here's the thing. A lot of people say, oh, well, why didn't all those black people who were slaves rise up and rebel? Was it just that they didn't have guns? No. It's also the fact that they grew up with it and they were used to it. For us, men, we're used to taking abuse. We're used to being ignored. We're used to being taken advantage of. We're used to being told that we owe it to you. We're used to having our gender used against us, and gender expectations and gender roles. You expect us to come to your rescue because you're a woman, for you to say that you did it all yourself and that you didn't need anybody's help. Least of all a man's. Don't lie to me. I've had women that I helped get unhomeless tell me they got unhomeless by themselves. I'm like, I took you to 55th and Arapahoe on 3 separate occasions. Went in with you, and I actually spoke with your caseworker about your situation. Yeah, I'd say that is actually pretty significant, especially since you got housing after that. There's one lady named Carissa Epson. She was trying to get into housing. And the housing manager, the assistant housing manager of Boulder, Colorado, came and talked to me in person, came down to Pearl Street to talk to me about her. Like, hey, Sean, you know, we know who you are. Bring people into our office, and, you know, we know you're homeless now. We didn't the first few times, but you're pretty honest. Who's this Carissa lady? Is she out there slinging drugs? You say she's got a couple of kids with her. Are they adults? How old are these kids? They were adults by that point. Her oldest was 17, but he was almost 18. He was about 3 weeks shy of his 18th birthday. Alright. God, that creeps me out when people pull out with their blinker on, and then I slow down, and then they go straight. Alright, well, I'm glad that you didn't run into me. I've had female stalkers before, and I've had male stalkers before. I've had people who felt that it was okay to try to pressure me to date them or have sex with them for whatever reason. What sucks is that I'm not allowed to say no, and I have to break stuff to people gently, because if I don't sugarcoat it, then I'm being mean, right? I'm not allowed to set boundaries. When I tell people to leave, they don't leave. They don't leave me alone. They don't go away. By the way, most of the people doing this are women. Guys eventually get the hint and leave. Where women want to get on and argue about it because I'm a man and they're allowed to. All of this was allowed to happen because I never had a real friend or family member who actually cared about me. I don't know how many times people wanted to tell me about their personal problems and consider that helping me. That's just insane. I probably shouldn't leave my stuff up there in the library. But I do want to make sure that some of the stuff that was taken is hopefully found. I've been having problems with my eyes for about the last 2.5 hours. Stuck my hands in them. Whatever it is, it feels weird. Kind of like when you use baby shampoo and it gets in your eyeballs. I'm not going to stop fighting for the rights of other human beings. I'm not going to stop fighting for the rights of trans people and the LGBT community. But I'm also not going to succumb to the mercy of their predators. Because it's not merciful. No matter how much people want to pretend, there are still people in the LGBT community who are predators. As a child, I had to deal with a few of them. You know what, Tanner? I'm glad you get paid to be a nice guy. I'm about to.